Spreading the new.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
New York, I love you. I love New York.
Rose trying to get open, fires away. Bang! It's over! The Bulls win at the buzzer! Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James! LeBron James with a rejection. Puts up the three. Won't go. Rebound box. Back out to Allen. His three-pointer. Bang!
What's going on, people? Welcome back to another episode of the Off the Ball podcast with me, your host, Chris LeBron, and we got another good one for you guys. We are kind of doing like a Knicks fan like world tour. It feels like, so trying to interview a bunch of Knicks fans and content creators just to get their perspective on the Knicks and the excitement for the 25-26 season. So I figured let me hit up someone and let's talk about the Knicks. And she is very popular. I think she's up for Rookie of the Year, I think, in the Knicks polls. So
Yes.
she's up for Rookie of the Year. So if you see that, make sure to vote for her. What's up, Britt? What's going on?
I'm doing good. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So we're gonna dive into everything Knicks. Obviously, Summer League just concluded. Obviously the disappointment of what happened in the playoffs. So we got a new coach. So just overall, just give me what you're feeling right now. Like, what's the mindset right now for B? Like, what are you feeling about the Knicks right now?
To be honest, I don't like to say it's a disappointment. There was a lot of seasons I sat back and we didn't come this far. So I'm actually very excited because the only way is up. I know a lot of people are like finals or bust. I want to get back to the Eastern Conference Finals and then just go from there. I want the Eastern Conference to start to be this stature. We got to keep getting there, because after that, yes, that's where you want to be headed, the finals. So I enjoyed the season. It wasn't a disappointment to me at all. I watched a lot of disappointing seasons. So it was a very high. And then coming off Summer League, I at first was a little disappointed because I like to win. I'm a winner. I like to win.
Yes.
But I saw some positives. I saw that we got to win now. We're contenders. I don't want a good Summer League team because then that's who we're going to rely on to be there for the regular season. And we have a lot of vets that can get us back to where we need to get to. And then it looks like we have a nice little core that can help us in the future. So I'm feeling pretty good. I'm very happy of the direction that we're going because there's a lot of times where I look and I'm like, I gotta like fake say it's our year, and I know deep down it's not our year. This year really does feel like our year, and I feel like it's the truth when I say it.
It's crazy because not too long ago, we would be talking about, man, we just lost 65 games and, like we have no hope, and this and that. And now we're like, can we win a championship? Like, do we have the pieces to win a championship? And especially with the way the East is kind of falling out with all the injuries and, potentially, some big names going East, leaving the Eastern Conference, but you mentioned Summer League, and obviously that's it just concluded, and that's kind of what's fresh in our minds. So, and you brought up a good point, like, hey, we're kind of in win now mode. So Summer League doesn't really matter. Don't need the fancy roster because we already have an established core, and but what was for you? What were you looking into with Summer League? Like, what was your kind of your thought process with Summer League? Did you want to see something specific? Did you want to see Kolek do something, to make you feel good about maybe being the backup point guard? Did you want to see McCullers, DOR, any of the guys we brought in? Like, what was your kind of your expectations for that core, heading into Summer League?
First of all, shout out my mom. So my baby's right there. She's a little. That's how I felt when I was watching some of the games. A little.
No, I feel you.
I actually won't lie. Pass it to me, sweetheart. I actually was a little bit disappointed in Tyler Kolek. I'm not gonna lie. I won't sit here and lie because to me, I vouched for him a lot. I kept hearing people they
Oh,
want
I
a
get you.
playmaker, a playmaker, a playmaker, and I'm like, we have one. Like, what's the big deal?
Hmm.
To see that a lot of people said we were running Mike Brown's offense, to see that our fast-paced offense might be a little difficult for him because I don't know if he was trying to find his shot instead. He also was playing with a lot of guys that he didn't play with over
Exactly.
the
Yeah, yeah.
season. It was very new for him, but I feel when you're a baller, you're a baller, and there's really no excuse for it. So I was shocked. I wouldn't say disappointed. Let me take that word back. I was just shocked that he didn't, being one of the older players on our roster as well. He's about 24 years old. He played four
Yeah.
seasons. He played 4 seasons. I swear. He played about 4 years in college, and then he did get a little bit of push during the regular season. He didn't play as much as we wanted him to, but he was able to play with people like a Carl Towns and OG and Mikel come behind a Jalen Brunson. So I expected to see something a little bit more than what I saw this summer league.
Hmm.
Um, However, I don't want to. I can't sit here and say it's over for him. He's again 24 years old. That's a gift and a curse because it's like 24 as a sophomore is a little bit crazy. But also it gives him like it's 50-50 with me. I won't lie. I came in like Tyler Collier, you're terrible, but now that I think about it and we're actually discussing it, I feel like he deserves a shot in a regular season with about 15 minutes if he is going to come in and play, so we can really see what he does on the NBA court. A summer league court is very different from an NBA court, but
Of course.
it's not the same type of court.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's my thing because like I'm a bit like I said, like you, I'm a big Tyler Kolek advocate. Like I don't know if I'm the conductor, but I'm a big, I had him rated high coming out of the draft. Like I love his playmaking. I thought there was upside with the scoring, but I was a little bit disappointed with so much. The shot wasn't going down, and it wasn't that he was taking bad shots so much, because if you're taking bad shots, oh, I could I can understand that, especially when you're not an athletic type of player. But it was wide open shots, B, where he's missing, and that's what frustrated me. Was like, we need you to hit those shots. We know, because to me, I still saw the playmaking. Yeah, the turnovers there, but like it's a summer league environment. The courts kind of shrink because we didn't have no shooters, so like the court's gonna shrink up, and like they're not gonna give you anything because guys can't shoot. So I still saw some of the playmaking that I liked and the things that I'm not worried about, but the shot, like he had obviously the big game where he had like 25 in the first half, that was good. But I'm like, dude, you missed an open shot, and I was kind of like a lot of the guys at summer league, like they were just missing way too many open shots. And to me, if you want to be able to contribute to a win now team that we are, you got to hit the open shot. So for me, that was my biggest little bit disappointed where Tyler was, dude, you missed way too many open shots. Like that just can't be the case. Because if you're doing that in the limited minutes you're going to be playing potentially with the big club, they're going to be like, damn, bro, you can't hit an open shot. Like you need to do that
That's
at
what really
least.
shocked me because I'm like, if you're a playmaker, so the fact that the turnovers were so high and the shot wasn't falling, that's where the disappointment came from.
Yeah.
Something had to be dominant. It either had to be, yes,
Yeah,
the
because you can live
playmaking
with the
could be,
turnovers, but if you
yes.
hitting shots, all right, I can live with that, or vice versa. But you can't have
And like you
both.
said, they were wide open. They're wide open. That doesn't matter if you're on an NBA court or a summer league court. It's a wide open shot.
Yeah, like so, but I still have faith in him potentially being the backup. Like I still think they have, maybe they probably came out of like, okay, maybe we could bring in a vet. We still got a spot, but I, I still think if you kind of look past, like, I don't know, so look past the numbers and how he played, but like, all right, that was a tough environment, not ideal roster. But if we put him at the big, we still feel confident that he could do it. And I truly believe they still feel some type of confidence. And I think JB has confidence too. So if JB got confidence in him, then I think, we'll see him play, still play. He'll definitely play more than he did last year. But I think they'll have confidence in him to run the show, when JB needs to get a breather, because he definitely gonna need some, after the last few years of the minutes he's played. But was there anyone else that kind of surprised you with summer league? I know Diawaro, someone was that's kind of took the Knicks Twitter by storm. Dink Pay. I was big on Dink. I did a show with Guy Lee. Like we kind of hyped him up a lot, and people started to really get to see his game a little bit more. So was anyone else in Summer League that kind of surprised you?
Those two specifically. Dink, he's a big guard, and we were like, okay, Tyler may not be it, but it looks like we have a guard in play when everything is all said and done, and JB gets a little older and things like that. I love Dink, very athletic. He looks like a
Yeah.
walking triple double, to be honest. He can rebound, he can pass, he can shoot. His shot is not all the way there. Let me not say that. But he shot better than Tyler Kolek. He shot a lot better than a lot of the other players on the roster.
Hmm.
Energy. I like that he wasn't afraid. He was a guy that was like, every time he got on the court, he was ready. And I like a player like
Yeah.
that does not shy away from the moment, understands that this is it. This is it right now. And I think he understood that. I was undrafted. Nothing for me is guaranteed. So I got to just ball out. And I think that he tried his best in the situation. Diawara, I love the energy. We're looking for another wing. After everything is with us, a lot of people wanted these guys to be a sure thing, forgetting that a lot of them are going to be the third or fourth option, not even the second. So Dewar looks like a definitely third or fourth option after OG, McHale, and even Yab and all these other guys. So I like him. He's very big, nice bully body, NBA ready body. um, and that's what I like about them. I think has to put a little bit more weight on, I think, and shot creation a
Yeah.
little bit better. But I think Diarra literally has an NBA ready body, and that's some things you can't teach. Um, and he was another one. Energy. The energy was there. He wasn't unwilling to do a lot of things. He was willing to do it. So I like those two. Anyone else outside of that? Because I know that was a lot of people's favorites as well. Um, Another one where I was big on and I was but then again they pulled him was Hawkporty. We need him next season. I think that
Hmm.
that was another one I vouched for, that we don't need a backup center. We have it. We drafted it. Um, I want to see his defense be a little bit upgraded to really study Mitch. You have Mitch Robinson right there, and Mitch Robinson is to me top 5 elite defender center. That's how
Hmm.
I felt watching the summer league. It's okay, baby. Watching the top 5 elite defenders. Yeah, it's like Hulk Porty. There was times where I just was like, I thought you were
Hmm.
watching Mitch Robinson. But what I did like is he does have a better offensive game than Mitch Robinson. So if
Uh-huh.
we're taking Mitch off the court and we're putting him in, I like the fact that you're not getting the same things. You're getting some
Yeah.
offense, take that off, and then you put Mitch in, you're getting some defense or whatever like that. So I did enjoy his offense. I did enjoy his offense. Outside of them though, here you go, sweetheart. With them outside of that, no. There wasn't anybody. A lot of people were high on McCullough. I didn't care for his game. A lot of
Hmm.
people were discussing Marjan. I understand that he's just probably looking for a contract on another team. So that was good for him to see him just try to get that. But I don't
Yeah.
care for him to be on our roster. Um, no, there wasn't anybody who stuck out to me. There wasn't anybody. No, again, and then Static, he got pulled again real quickly. So I was a little shocked because I was like, wait a minute, he could shoot, kind of. And then I was like, no, he can't. um, there was no consistency. There was no consistency by any of the players.
Hmm.
Um, so
Hundred
the
percent. Yeah.
after the consistency, what I looked for was energy, because some things you can't teach. So I was very high on Dink, Diawara. I was high on their energy. Very high on energy.
And that's the thing, especially with DOR. Like a lot of his stuff coming, pre-draft stuff was the offense is real raw. Like it's a work in progress. And I came away from, I know, just summer league, but I'm like, okay, the offense is a lot better than I ever even, and I didn't really do deep diving in pre-draft, but just some of the things I would see, a little bit I've seen him. It was like, okay, obviously the wingspan is always going to get brought up, 7'4", 7'5", whatever it is. He has the size, defensively, he's there right now. Like he's a good defender right now, but the offense was like, okay, like he's comfortable. Like the handle still needs to get tightened a little bit, but he's comfortable with the ball in his hand, and that shows that he is very confident, which I like a lot. He didn't seem like he was like, scared of the moment, so he was confident. And I like some of the passing, especially in the high post. Like that was really impressive. So it kind of gives you, like I said, we have Mitchell Robinson, who's just straight defense, and with Huck and with potentially with like Diawara, like you got someone who could do some stuff, creatively, offensively. That was like, okay. That's a good balance. It's kind of when we had like Hardenstein, and he was different from Mitch, right? He had brought a little bit more creative, creative offensively and, with the passing and stuff, playmaking, so I think that's what they're trying to go. And Dink, I know people would, harped on him so much with they just look at the stats in him in the G League, especially with the Ignite, and just like, oh man, he shot this. And I tried to, I would go into spaces or talk. I was like, all right, try to put things in
He's
perspective.
19 years old.
Yeah, and Lee actually put it even more in perspective for me since he knows so much about him. Like, and then like I try to elaborate, to people and try to make them understand. Like, don't look at the splits, understand everything around him, the surrounding. And and I was like, this kid is athletic too. So he just needs to be in the right environment. And I'm like, I think with us, we have the right environment for him to actually thrive. And even if the shot wasn't going down for him, he was rebound. Like I knew he was always a good rebounder, but he was grabbing boards. He was just always active. And then we actually got to saw some of that athleticism, in that last game. Like, okay, this is what we could potentially get because he's a top. I talk to so many scouts and stuff. They're like, he's a top 20 talent in this draft. Just talent alone, he's top 20. And you got him as an undrafted guy. Like, so, we could potentially have something and we need more athleticism. Like that's why I kind of think they got, they picked up Diawara. They picked up Dink, they picked up some guys that like, oh, we need to get more athletic because we're not a really athletic team. And with this Mike Brown offense, that can, you could really see that athleticism with this offense. So, like I said, the other Bay champ, I don't know if he's going to be on the roster. He did play well the last few games, really showed out, but I don't know. McCullers, the shot to me, I wanted to see the shot. I didn't see the shot go down. He was aggressive, which I do like when the shot's not going down. Get to the cup. I do like that aspect, but there's some intriguing things with the Knicks young guys, and we'll see if that replicates to the regular season. When they will probably get a better chance than they did last year. So let's talk about the new head coach because obviously Tibbs is no longer here. We got Mike Brown. A lot of people, I think a lot of people when they first heard of the Mike Brown potentially being the coach, it was like, retread, he's been fired a few times, and even for a second I felt that way. But then I actually like, all right, let me actually do some homework. Let me do a little deep dive and see what he does that can maybe, best suit this club. And I watched a lot of his stuff and I was like, okay, I actually think this actually could work. Like I like a lot of his offensive sets, and I think he can actually maximize our wings, and I came away. I was like, okay, if this is one of the guys that are in contention for the head coaching job, I think he should be the guy. So what were your thoughts, with the hiring of Mike Brown? And did you, do you feel like his system, who benefits the most from Mike Brown coming in?
I actually, first of all, Tom Thibodeau, I loved him. I was an advocate for Tom Thibodeau.
Me too.
It was one
Yeah.
of those situations where I realized that some things have to happen in order for other things to happen. And I did watch Tom Thibodeau be very stubborn over the years. And some things you just can't change. We're not going to pretend he's going to come into this season and do anything different than he did from the last season. And we need different. So when I heard about Mike Brown, I actually wasn't mad at it. I was actually happy. I was very anti Jason Kidd. I was very anti one second. One second.
No,
We
you
need to
good.
color
You
pink.
good.
Here, we're gonna get the color pink.
That's the life of having kids. If you don't
Watch
have
it.
kids, you don't understand.
Like
Like
I said, we get this.
a
There
lot
you
of
go.
my podcasts I've done, I have my kids in the background. So like this is
Shout
nothing,
out Mom Life. Yes. Like I said, that's how she gets it too. She watches the games with me and she knows it gets intense. But I was very anti Jason Kidd. I was very anti
Yeah.
because they're not ours. Um, they're
Hmm.
with someone else. They're in the middle of having whatever they got going on. I wanted someone who understood they would come in and this is their team. And I think Mike Brown understands that. He was an assistant coach for some time, and I know recently he was fired. But we also remember where he was fired from. He was fired from Sacramento. They're a terrible organization. I apologize in
That's what I'm
advance.
saying too. Like it's the Kings. Like it's like
And when
they
he,
traded
yeah,
Tyrese. like,
And when he did have a good roster, look what he did with it. He broke their playoff streak and got them into the playoffs to go against a very good team at the time that I felt if Fox was healthy, they would have beat that team. And we
hmm
would have been talking a little more highly of Mike Brown at this time. Experience is everything. That's why we like Tom Thibodeau, and that's why we got very far with Tom Thibodeau. But we need to get the next level, and he has 4 championship rings. Can't you can't get any more experience than that. He also coached some of the greatest people that we've seen enter the game, from LeBron to Kobe to even Stephen Curry. And then a lot of people say those names but forget the things that he done for people like Andrew Wiggins, the things that he done for people like Draymond Green, the people that he done for Malik Monk, the people that he did for even De'Aaron Fox. Those are good players. They're not great, but they're good. Excuse me, De'Aaron Fox is a good player, but those are just good players. And he made them, some of them, all stars. He made some of them household names. He made some of them have their statistically their season's best shoot better.
hmm
Um, so when I think of what people are like, OG and Mikal have bad seasons when I don't think they did, and you bring in a Mike Brown, those people could only get better. So I'm excited to see what he can do with the Mikal and the OG, because I think they were tremendously misused last year. So, but the most person that would benefit is Carl Anthony Towns. We didn't bring him in. We didn't bring him in to not be Carl Anthony Towns. He was the number 1 pick. He's an all-star. He's one of the best big men shooters in our league. And we didn't
hmm
really get to see that last year. I think he still had a great season despite the facts. He still was an all-star starter. But we didn't see the 3 ball consistently. We didn't see him dominate the way we could. And I think that he is a dominant type player, especially in the East. We're playing with Jalen Brunson.
hmm
Um, I would love to just see more of how he can be facilitated correctly, rebounding more, shooting the ball more, and even passing the ball. A lot of people keep talking about this playmaker, this playmaker, this playmaker, but Carl Towns can pass the ball. We've seen the little flashy passes. The
hmm
IQ is there. He's not a person that's
Especially
gonna
in that
make.
high post. Yep.
Yeah, and that's another thing. He plays. I seen where he has a lot of where he's gonna have some where he had Fox go in a lot to pull the ball out so that Malik Monk can get the shot. We
hmm
have people who can shoot the ball. We have Carl Towns, and we have somebody called Jalen Brunson, who we call him Big Body Brunson for a reason. If he gets in that paint, good luck. He dishes it out. There's Carl Towns. So, I think that overall we're gonna see a lot of statistics go up for a lot of things. Some may go low. I think Carl Towns and Jalen Brunson's points per game might drop. But I think things that are more important, like assists and rebounds, will go up. And then I think people like a Deuce McBride to come in and play the game a little bit better. And then we did affiliate. We did acquire. Excuse me, Jordan Clarkson. We did acquire him,
hmm
and he is a beast off the bench. We're not going to forget that. So what he's done with people already over the years, hey, sweetheart, what he's done with these people over the years, I'm excited to see what he can do with these players. I think that Mikel's mid range was very underappreciated last year, and we still seen it. I would love for him to just get the ball where he needs to and just shoot it versus having to continuously versus having that
He's
was me
excited.
again.
He's
These
excited.
my mood
He's
when I
excited.
had to watch Mikel dribble the ball. That's how I felt when Mikel dribbled last year. He doesn't need to dribble. He does not need to dribble. Neither does OG. We would like
Oh,
for them
oh,
to.
that was see that scream. That was me with OG at times. I
Yes.
was, I was like, "What are we doing, my guy?"
Yes, I don't like when they have to do things. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I don't like when they had to do things that Jalen Brunson and Carl Towns could do for our team.
Yeah. No, and like I said, Cat, I think is definitely a big winner of Mike Brown. Like I said, if you see how he was able to use Sabonis, and now you add, listen, no, Sabonis is a really good player, but Karl Anthony Towns, I think is, I think we can agree is a level, or two above Sabonis, and is a bigger body too. So what he can do in that high post and off a lot of DHO stuff, there's so much intrigue. And then like we mentioned with the wings, like it's not going to just stay in the corner. It's movement. And you see with Mike Brown, there's a lot of movement. There's a lot of, UCLA cuts. There's a lot of motion, so that's just going to, that's just going to make even for a lot more easier shots, a lot more open shots, So I just think we're going to see a lot more ball movement, and I know, listen, I know Brunson is what Brunson does with the ball in his hand. is magic. That's why he became an all NBA type of player. That's why he's thrived in his few years with the Knicks. But we could use a little bit more ball movement, not just ball stop. We use, and I think this offense is perfect for him, and I think it's going to save his game too. It's going to save the energy because there looks like at times he was just losing too much energy because he has to take over because the offense is just so stagnant. It's just stuck. And well, I think with this offense of Mike Brown, we're going to see a lot more move and just obviously more trust in the
There
bench
were
too. That's big.
Yeah, there were times where OG, I feel he could have been an all-star this season. So the fact that he definitely, again, going back to Wiggins, when Wiggins played under Mike Brown, Wiggins was an all-star. As soon as Mike Brown left,
Yeah.
Wiggins became very irrelevant. So I really think we do have all-star calibers in OG and Mikal outside of Towns and Jalen Brunson. So that's also where I wanted to mention as well. Just having them play their game.
Mhm. Yeah, because they're going to feel more comfortable. And Mikel too. It definitely felt like Mikel and Tibbs were like this. So
Shout out
I
Mikal.
think I
Everybody
think
knows I love Mikal, by the way. I am a big Mikal advocate.
so that's if he's more comfortable, we know what he can do, when he's comfortable. We saw what he could do in Brooklyn. We obviously what he did in the Suns, but we know there's another element of scoring to his game, so I think he benefits. OG's going to benefit big time. So I like this. But we got a couple free agent moves that were, those low key moves, nothing big. We didn't have much to really, we got no money. We didn't have much to work with, but they were able to get Jordan Clarkson from the Utah. He was waived, and we picked him up for a vet. And then Gershon Yabusele, to me, that I love that move. I thought he was a $12 million player, like, and I was like, all right, he's gonna go somewhere else. He's gonna get a nice little bag. And then when we got him, I was like, whoa, we got him for half of what I thought, and obviously with the way the market is right
And
now
he
in the
took a pay
NBA,
cut.
and he took a pay cut so we can get potentially another vet, in the, and I'm sure they're doing the due diligence with that. But how did you feel about those two acquisitions? Like I said, I know Clarkson, it's he's not he's not crazy efficient. There's gonna be some games where he's gonna miss a lot. He's a chucker, but I also try to look at the other side. Okay, he played for a really bad team that was straight up trying to lose. So how much of that should I put into that? He was just playing for a bad team. He's just gonna take every shot possible. And how does him coming into a winning culture make him realize, okay, I need to take good shots, because if I don't take good shot, I ain't gonna play, because I'm not coming in here as a 12 15 minute player. I'm coming here as a vet min, and I could be gone just like that, or I could be riding the bench. So does that efficiency, because we know he could score, and we need a scorer, and we need someone who can hand the ball too, you know. So with him, I think, okay. But then with Gershon, like I said, a guy who's a really good 3-point shooter, strong, is can guard multiple positions, he's going to get to the basket, finishes strong, so I like the move. So how did you feel about those two acquisitions so far for the Knicks?
These are two guys that I hope is not too little too late, because I wanted them last year or the year before. So I hope that this is like perfect timing, and the patience was worth it. Because I felt like we were a Jordan Clarkson away from last year. There was times we needed buckets when those starters went to the bench. It was no buckets, or it was a lot of inconsistency. So even though
It
he has
might
been
have been the
inconsistent,
difference between us not, where we ended and then maybe going to the finals, like just a Jordan Clarkson type.
because you got to put, I know defense wins championship, but you got to put the ball in the bucket. And that's why we lost some games. There were times where we stop, and then we get to the other end and we weren't scoring. So therefore the other team were allowed comebacks. And then yes, shout out our key clutch player. I love him to death. I would never trade Drayden Brunson. I hope he retires a Knick. But he was tired a lot. And then there were times where Carl Towns was in a lot of foul trouble. And then what do we do? And we were looking. That's why again we had to overuse OG and Mikal offensively, where people are now like, oh, these guys are terrible. They're not as beautiful. They're not terrible. They're not the guys that you go look like a Jordan Clarkson and get those buckets. So the fact that we now have more buckets, I'm excited for that. And then Yabusele, is that how I pronounce it? He's one that should get tricky with
You're
that.
Sean Yabusele. Yeah, I had to
Yes.
do a lot of practice with
I
that
say
one.
yeah. I was introduced to him when we played France and he dunked on LeBron. I'm not gonna pretend I knew him before that. I knew an idea of him, but that's when I said, "Who is that guy?" And a lot of people
Yeah,
are like, "Oh, that's French Ben Wallace or whatever. I don't really think
I remember him in the league because he has a huge gap from when he first came into the league to like I think it was like a 5-6 year gap between going over because he was originally I forgot where he was drafted to, but he had like a 5-6 year gap. And then obviously the last few years when we saw him with France and he's been in the league, so he had a gap. So like he had to really redefine his game before, and now we're seeing him what he's doing now.
That is a person where I'm glad he did that because it shows. He looked very good. There are times where a lot of people, there are things that they're worried about that I don't feel they should be worried about, which is with those two, their defense. That's not why we signed them. We needed help offensively. We needed a
We need
bench.
bucket scores,
We need a
yeah.
bench. We still have Deuce and Mitch Robinson, who are defensive gods to me. Like, a lot of people would die for a Miles on their bench. A lot of people would die for a Mitch to come off their bench, and they play very good defense. So it was like, what about the offense? So this is why I'm really excited we acquired that. You got to put the ball in the bucket. And there are guys that energy, 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 energy. I just said that about summer league, and I'm gonna repeat that. Some things you can't teach. You can't teach a guy to come in and just let's go, put the motor on. Everybody's gonna have a good game. Everybody's gonna have a bad game. But are you gonna play through that? And I've seen Jordan Clarkson. No matter what, I'm gonna shoot that ball. And you need that guy. You need that guy. Like it's not. I hate guys who I watch a lot of some of these young players. Even it's like, oh, I'm having a bad game. I'm scared to shoot the ball. I think even Tyler Kolek did that a few times when he was on the court last year. He realized, all right, that this first three I just shot, I didn't go in, so I'm not going to shoot the ball again. You got to shoot the ball. You got to shoot the ball in
Confidence,
order to go in. And to see Yabusele not be afraid to go against the USA team, and then he joined the Sixer team. They were terrible last year, but he still put up efficient numbers. With he had nobody. There was no Therese, there was no Joel, there was no even
There's
McCann,
no
there was nobody. No Paul George, there was nobody. And that guy was like, you know what? This is the year for me to, yes, be seen, get noticed. And that's when I started to note him last year. And I thought Philly got a steal with him when they signed him. I was like, God, I hate the Philly. I hate Sixers. So I was really upset that they acquired someone of his talent and his energy. So I'm really excited for them. The only thing with them, they can only learn the defensive system. Mike Brown is somebody that, yes, he's going to thrive our offense, but he is a defense first coach. People
defensive
forget
guy,
that.
yeah.
He plays defense. He does not like players who are on the court and not playing defense. So I don't see how they come in and they're like totally lost. And I also don't see how they can't be in certain lineups where their defense could be blinded. Again, if you put Jordan and Deuce together, beautiful. Deuce can pick up from up in the front court. If you put Yob with Mitch, beautiful. Because then you put Yob with OG, beautiful. So I think people relied on them a lot. And for the fact that we only had $10.15 and that's who we required, that is the steal of the year. That's like when you go into the thrift store and you're like, what? They got this? It was like one of those type deals that I was really excited for. Really excited for.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was excited about that acquisition, and for how much money they had left, they to me they maximized, they maximized that dollar. They got everything out of that dollar, and they did a good job with that. So, it gives me confidence that no matter what, this team's going to look a lot better. It's going to, with the infusion of the young guys who I still have faith in. I know people may not, but I still have faith in the young guys contributing. And just the way the East is looking right now, it's there for the taking. So that's what I'm going to say is bring up next is the East is, like I said, we know what happened with Boston with Tatum. We saw him get hurt against us. He's out. We saw what happened with Indiana. Like they were, a few quarters away from winning a championship, and now that team is, Turner is with the ops in Milwaukee. And obviously Halliburton, he's out for the year, and we see what happened in Milwaukee. Dame's not there. Giannis is not happy. There's a lot of dysfunction there. Like if you look, the Cavs disappointed last year. The East is there for the taking.
Anybody worried about the Cavs? We beat them
Yeah,
with Julius Randle.
So like our team is there to like the road for us to get to the finals is there. Do you see anyone in that other than maybe Cleveland that you feel like is a legit threat to stop the Knicks from getting to the finals? Because honestly, not even to sound like a fan, like we should get to the finals. Like it is, and then the title says championship or bust. I think it's championship or bust. Like we need to at least get to the championship. We need to get to the NBA final. And I think the path is there. And I'm not really that threatened by any other team, really. So what's your thoughts on that?
To be honest, first of all, I want to say, a lot of people, because they get on the TL, I was happy that Tatum and Tyrese went down. Yeah, sweetheart,
She's excited. She's
I'm just
excited. She
like,
sees that.
she's just like, I wasn't happy that they went down, but that's a part of a title run. A lot of people get a look over all the years. Injuries have to happen. They have to. I'm not saying that they do and they have to. There's a lot of runs that people went on that if the key person didn't play, we don't know how this would have went.
Mhm.
So we need some of those people out the way. So it's very nice to see
Need to
the
be
teams that
lucky
we.
sometimes. Need to get
Yes.
lucky. This is
And that's a part. I don't care what anybody says. It's probably one of the things at the bottom because, of course, you need a good coach. You need a good roster. You need a bench. You need this. You need that. But you need a little bit of luck on your side. That's how I believe Boston won
100%.
last year. That's how Indiana got to the finals, I believe. Because prior to that, the players, the teams that they played were very injured. Cavs were injured. The Bucks were injured, and then they ran into us where So by then they were ready to take on whatever they had to take on. So I'm not happy that that happened to them because at the end of the day they are. I respect Jason Tatum's game tremendously, and I'm not a big Tyrese Halliburton fan, but what he brings to the game is important. But their ops are ops, and if the op gets out the way, you celebrate and you're happy. So I am okay with the fact that those two people out the way because then when you look, the list starts to get a little bit smaller. When you
Mhm.
throw in Indiana and you throw in Boston, it's like, oh, you got to run into them. And it
Mhm.
felt relieving to get past them yesterday, but it was no walk in the park. And the Pacers, we haven't walked in the park. We continuously get eliminated by them. So again, to have them out the way, amen. Because as I look, Cavs is actually not at the top of my list of who I'm afraid of. They're a team, one of those teams that it looks good during the regular season, and then when it comes down to the post, which what matters, I don't fear them. There's nothing to fear. I don't think there's anybody that can't stop Donovan Mitchell. I think that Mitch Robinson already made Jared Allen look like I'm an all-star, not
Yeah,
you.
I'm out. I'm out on Jared Allen. Yeah, yeah. You know when I was out
um,
on the Cavs is when I think it was game 2 against Indiana, and they all like they had like it was him and who's the Hunter was out, and then they wound up still playing game 3, but like
Garland, yeah.
if you could play game 2, you could if you could play game 3, you could have played game. That's just me, and you kind of left your boy out, Donovan, to die because he gave everything out for that, and they wound up blowing that game like it was like 8 point. Like Indiana had another insane, uh, ending of a game that happened for them. So I kind of was out on them because I thought that was kind of soft. Like, hey man, like this is an opportunity for you guys to get to the conference finals, and you're gonna lose into Luke to go down 2-0 at the crib. That's tough to come back from. So like
Yes.
I thought that kind of showed me like I don't
That
know
says
if
a
they
lot.
have that dog in them, and they shouldn't have that kind of mentality because they haven't really done anything to deserve that, to have that kind of mentality. And to me, that showed a lot because they should have beaten Indiana easily, and
He's a,
they that was soft. I thought that was
yeah.
soft, but so that's why I think a lot of people think that way too with them. That's why they're kind of skeptical on like, yeah, the talent's there, but and also Garland's going to be out for the beginning of the season, so like I'm kind
And
of
then they acquired Lonzo Ball, and people thought that this was like this big acquisition. To me, I'm not afraid of
this
Lonzo
ain't
Ball.
Lonzo pre-injury Lonzo, so like he's a shell of himself. Like he's not the same Lonzo, you know. So
So to answer the question, though, if I had to think, it's actually having Detroit come back with actually better. No, hold on, sweetheart. Actually, Detroit coming back with better, better. I think the pieces that they acquired are either just as equal or a little bit better than a Malik Beasley and a Tim Hardaway. They did get Karis LeVert and they did get Duncan Robinson, and they also get
bring
Jaden
back
Ivey back.
Ivy. Yeah,
Yeah,
Ivy's
like
coming back.
so these
Scoot's
are people
coming
that
back.
you can't sit back, and this was a team who fought against us. It was a dogfight. It wasn't a walk in the park against Detroit at all. That was
Mm-mm.
actually one of the funnest series that I've watched the Knicks play.
They
So
needed that. We
Yeah,
needed
we
that.
did. We
We
did
need
because it
because
got us very much
because
prepared for no
honestly,
more.
I
But
don't know about you, but I thought we were a little bit soft, and losing Dante and losing Randall and losing Isaiah, that was our rocks. Like those guys were tough. They were not going to let anyone bully us, and we lost a lot of that toughness. And that was the one thing I was worried about going to playoffs. Is like, are we going to have that? And that Detroit series, it was tight. Game one. It was. We needed campaign to save us, but we needed that series because we needed that toughness. I think that helped out a lot for us. There we go. We got another co-star on the pod.
I was gonna say, I think that's all she wants. She just wants to be a part.
There you
But
go.
that's where to know that there was a time where people were saying Kate Cunningham is better than Jalen Brunson, and to me, absolutely not. But to know that
He's
he's
not there
coming
yet.
back.
He ain't there yet.
Yeah,
He's
he's not
not
there yet.
there.
To know that he's coming back and that they're more of a threat to me than the Cavs, because they did replace what they lost. Any team that replaces what they lose and gets a little smudge better. I think Duncan Robinson's a little bit better shooter than Tim Hardaway. Not I don't know about a better player, but he's a better shooter from the three. And Karis LeVert is just as good as when healthy, just as good as a Malik Beasley. Um,
Mhm.
so the fact that they replaced that, Jalen Duren is also a really good center. He's a nice young piece. These are
Yeah, he's
these are
solid.
people who are only getting more experience, getting more better. So to know that their coaches was going to scare me because I'm not scared of JB, and I think again we always had that's where we win. Tom was better than JB, and now Mike Brown to me is better than JB. So
Mhm.
that's where we might have the edge. But Detroit, Orlando. Orlando's a very big team. They were a lot
They're
of people
they're
forgot about
intriguing.
them.
They're
Yes,
intriguing. We're
a
getting
lot of people
Desmond
forgot about
Bain.
them because they were unhealthy.
Yeah.
A healthy Magic, they have a huge everything. They have a huge front court,
Mhm.
a huge back court. They have Paulo Banchero. People sleep on him. Um, Again, when someone's another fan, I'm such a Knicks fan that I don't like to praise other players. But Paulo's a bad man. That's a
He's no,
bad,
he's nice.
bad
Yeah,
man.
we can say yeah. When
Um,
he's healthy, he's
he's
a
a bad
future
man.
MVP candidate.
Yes. So I'm excited to see how they also have Isaac, who I feel like that's somebody I really wish we could acquire one day in the future. Um, they have big guards. They have Jalen Suggs. They also got Bane. That I think that's a huge acquire where people feel like the same thing
We
with
needed
Mikal. We gave up
shooting.
a lot to get back, but people gotta think when you're in a contend now or you're in a I want to win now, you gotta give up pieces. Those draft picks are irrelevant.
Unfortunately, that's a part of the business, right? If you're a win now mode, you gotta pay an extra tax to get such a play. Like listen, Mikhail thing. Listen, I personally, what I have not done, I wouldn't have done it. I'm a picks guy. I believe in draft picks, so maybe my mindset is different, but you kind of get it. Like, hey man, we want to win now. They feel like he can help them win, and if we win a championship, nobody's really going to care about the 5 picks. We'll worry about it in 5 years, in years to come.
Right.
Well, but like kind of like
And
Milwaukee's
seeing the
doing
way the
now,
Nets
but
just drafted, I ain't worried about
yeah,
it.
yeah. So like, yeah. It's so like,
But
and the
that
Nets,
scared me. That scared me
the
to
Nets
see
did
that
it.
they're in a win mode now. They're like, I
Yeah,
don't care about these picks. We already have a bunch of picks. They still have Anthony Black on the bench, I believe, who I feel like
Anthony
is
Black is solid. Yeah,
he's another defender.
yeah.
They're big. Anybody who's big, you got to worry about, especially when you have talent. They have a big roster with Paulo there. Hold on, baby. Oh, it's raining
Yeah.
out there. Um,
Is it raining?
yes. I'm in
Oh
a
wait,
different
you're
state,
not in New
so
York, right? You're
no,
not in New
I was
York,
gonna
right?
say, yeah. I'm
Oh,
from
okay,
New
okay,
York. I'm
okay,
from the Bronx. I'm from New York, but no, I'm out in a different state right now.
okay,
And
okay.
last but not least, I know a lot of people are like, we gotta worry about Atlanta just a smudge, just a tiny
Uh,
bit. I'm not worried about them in the sense of
not
beating
yet,
us,
not
but
yet.
I feel like they could replace what Detroit did to us last year in a playoff run, in a playoff series. Give us a little bit of a holy, we shouldn't take them as light as we should. That's all.
Yeah.
Nothing where that I feel they would eliminate us. No. Because to me, that's what I mean about the Cavs are least. And I feel like the Cavs we could beat them a 3-1 or sweep them. Honestly, like that's just the honest thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think Atlanta's a team that could take 2 games to us and make us go, oh man, if they get a third, but they
Yeah.
won't. That's all I feel about Atlanta. That's what by mentioning them. But to be honest, my top two runners are Orlando and Detroit. A lot of people should worry about them. And we also have to understand that the Sixers are another team that was not healthy last year.
I know, I
That
know,
we
I
can't sit and act
know, I
like Joel
know.
Embiid is irrelevant. I hate Joel Embiid. He's not one of my favorite players at all. So go ahead, baby. Joel Embiid is not one of my favorite players. I hate him, but Tyrese Maxey is another bad man. And
Kane's coming
cool, baby.
back. A healthy Paul
And they drafted
George.
well.
They drafted VJ. Like,
They have McCann coming back. He can shoot. Paul George is still with them. He's, a vet. You need a vet on your roster. I'm gonna go in a second, baby. It's a team that I'm not gonna. They're like with Atlanta. I don't feel like they're gonna eliminate us, but we're not gonna pretend that they can't take one or two from us and start to get us a little shaky in our boots.
no, yeah, I'm with you. Sixers, I'm kind of like, okay, like they could, if they're healthy, that's the biggest thing with them always is the health. They could do something. They could.
And if healthy, we shouldn't sleep on. I know nobody even mentions them, and that's what's crazy to me. I'm gonna mention them because you can't sleep. You can't sleep on them. You can't sleep.
You really can't sleep on them. So, but I'm gonna let you go because I know the little one needs you right now.
Yes.
So I appreciate your time. I've been wanting
Thank
to
you for
talk to you
working
for
with
a
me
little
through
bit.
all this. Yes. He's
I'm a
been great to
parent.
get me through this, guys. And I always like, well, yeah, but I'm like, let's just go for it. And I'm glad we went for it. I'm glad we went for it.
I understand as a parent. I have a little girl myself. And especially in the beginning when she was younger and my son was younger, in the back, you hear them all the time on the pods at the beginning. So I understand.
You're never gonna get a free time
100%.
anyway. Might as well walk through it. Yeah.
You're never gonna have free time. So you got to figure out, hey, gonna be some background noise of the kid yelling, but that's all good. I understand that, so I have no problem with that. It adds to the lure of the pod. Gonna make the pod even that much better. But I appreciate you for coming on. Like I said, this is dope conversation. And I see you doing your thing. You're getting that respect from Knicks Twitter world. I hope you win Rookie of the Year in that poll. I don't know where the polling is at. I know I voted for you. I wrote a write-in ballot because you were a write-in ballot. You were write-in, so I wrote you in. But you're doing some really cool things, and I know you do stuff with Nick of Time. You got a lot of great people over there. They're really dope. So before we sign off, tell people where they can find you on social media, anything you got coming up, just let the people know.
Sporty Spice. It's SPORT.
I think we lost her. But her handle.
I think I
Oh,
lost you. I was
yeah,
gonna say
yeah,
Sporty.
yeah, lost you for
They're
a second.
calling me.
Okay.
They're calling me. But sorry, I apologize. Sporty Spice. That's Sporty, and then SPICCE. There in the bio, you can find my TikTok where I talk a lot of Nick stuff. I thank you guys for here. And before I go, Jalen Brunson for MVP next year. Don't you heard it here first.
There we go. I appreciate you, B. A lot of
I
fun on the
appreciate
pod.
you.
Make sure to follow me at Off the Ball Pod on all social media platforms. I'll keep all her social in the description. But
Yes.
on that note, be well, be safe, take care. Peace out, everyone.
Thank you, guys.